Hello, everyone. I'm Sree Sreenivasan. Welcome to yet another daily COVID call. COVID-19 is our topic. And as long as we're hunkered down in New York, I plan to do these. This is only day number 3, Bob, but it feels like day number 33. And our special guest is Bob Anthony. He's at New York Bob, all spelled out. And he is Robert Anthony, veteran journalist, my dear friend for 25 years. He was one of my first bosses I ever had in New York at an internship when I was at Columbia Journalism School. He was my boss, and we've become great friends since. He is at New York Bob on all the platforms. He also has 1.2 million followers on Pinterest, and he's on Twitter and Instagram. Check him out at New York Bob. Just to remind everyone, what we're trying to do in these sessions is have a chance to shoot the breeze because we can't shoot the virus, but it's also a chance for us to learn some things about what's going on, different aspects of the crisis. We did already one health session with Dr. Lippy Roy. We did helpful hints and things you can do to help your neighbors with Maria Drago, who's also with us and hanging out on this call. And then now we're with Bob Anthony. Tomorrow, that is call number 4, is going to be with Linda Bernstein and me. We are putting together Social Media Weekend, which we're moving from a in-person event coming up on Saturday to an online conference. A lot of events have been canceled or postponed. We decided that at this moment, we don't need another canceled conference. We want another learning opportunity. And that's why we are putting together what we believe is a fabulous one-day conference online with multiple extended learning opportunities. So if you search for Social Media Weekend or go to the top of my Twitter page, you can see at Sree, you can see the link and go in there and look at all the explanation on the Social Media Weekend site. But now let's talk to an expert on technology, Bob Anthony at New York Bob. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. Thanks for that incredible intro. Like I told you on my last text to you, I'm looking at the names here too. I feel like I'm a rookie in a room full of Hall of Famers. It's a cool group. But and
thank you.
even though you've only done this for 3 days, but
couple of days,
I'm already used to the routine. It's
Yeah.
Sree at 5, news at 6, and more at 11. So it's,
Thank you. We may not always stick to 5 o'clock because we want to get different times and different voices in here, but we'll do that. Bob, I wonder if the fact that you're on video is causing your audio to be a little muted or a little subdued. I don't know if you want to try it without that and see if you sound better.
I took the video off.
Okay, I think it's better now. All right. So Bob, tell us a little bit about your background and then give us, I'll ask you a series of questions. People have also got questions, but your opening thoughts.
Well, basically, as you know, I've worked in offices, I've worked at home, and even for people like myself who've been working out of the office for a while, this is still a different reality because there are things that you normally do when you're working out of your home that you can't do right now. You can't take a break and you don't want to take a break and go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks to finish your work because you don't want the extra surfaces to touch. You don't want to walk around and have your phone run out of power and then look for a place to plug in because the places you plug in might be dirty. So it's a new reality even for those who are used to working at home.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So give us a sense of how you're spending your day, and have you already are you in the hoarding kind or the non-hoarding kind?
No, I'm not a hoarder. I mean, I did my shopping late last night at Stop and Shop, and the buffalo had already been through the
buffalo, did you say?
Yes, and the meat was gone. All the chicken was gone. A little bit of meat was left, but I had piece by piece had collected enough, and I don't have a bedroom full of toilet paper or stacks of bottled water or anything like that. What I do have is a stack of reporters' notebooks. I'll never run out of those. But That's about the only thing I'm hoarding. But now I hear that Stop and Shop will stop opening until midnight, which is when I like to shop. They're late and they're going to be closing earlier. So here again, even for those used to not flowing with the regular crowd, it's different. And even my setup here at home might change a little.
Yeah, well, we wish you luck with that. So let's talk about technology. You've had some observations about how people could be using their technology. What is your setup right now at home for tech, and what do you suggest people who have never done this before suddenly having to work from home? What can they do?
Test out your Wi-Fi. Get an app like Speed Test, which is available both for
Speed
Apple
test.
and
Can you
yeah,
just
Speed
okay,
Test.
yeah, sorry, just Bob, every time you mention something, just say it a couple of times so everybody gets it.
Sure. That's it's just how it sounds. One word. Speed. Speedtest. And you'll find that app. It's. I'll queue it up while I'm talking to you. I just want to name the people who make it. Uh, you find that app all over the place. Well, actually, yeah, Speed Test. Maybe that's the name of the company by now. But use that. Check your home Wi-Fi, and just see what speed you get. Just see if you're getting the speed that you're paying for. I'm paying for 200 megabits per second, and out here in the kitchen, I'm getting it. If I go to the bedroom, however, it goes down. It goes down a bit, and I have to do. I've already done the tweaking that I need to do, but that's one thing to check right away. See where you get the best Wi-Fi, and if it doesn't come to where you want to work, then you need to do some work, either by if it's an old router. If it's an old Wi-Fi router, it might be time to go shopping for a new one because the newer ones are better at uh, uh, directing the most bandwidth to where it's needed. If it detects a smart TV in one room streaming a movie, it'll intelligently uh, uh, provide the bandwidth to that TV and not to the person texting, for example, which takes a lot less bandwidth. The newer routers are that smart that they can do that kind of decision making. The older ones, I'm not suggesting you throw it out, but definitely think about repositioning, maybe deeper into the apartment or deeper elsewhere in the home, so that you get at least even coverage, because that's what you're going to need for the long run. If you're uploading big files, you don't want to be uh, have a lack of bandwidth. A friend of mine wants to cut the cord, like a lot of people do, and is thinking about this service from Optimum that offers 20 megabits per second for a really low price. That is sort of a just get by speed. It'll get you surfing on the web, it'll get some video, but if you're a heavy user, that's not going to do it. You're going to, at least 100 megabits, 200 megabits out of your router if you want to smoothly work without delays and things like what happened to my video stuttering, things like that.
Bob, this has already been helpful. I just used my speed test app, which I've had on my phone and not used in years, and I just tested it. I'm getting 61 megabits, so that's very low, right? We're typically likely that we're spending 200. We're spending for 200. Didn't the companies
But
all announce that they will be not throttling? They're going to reduce caps, all of that. Didn't they say that?
I heard some of them say that, and I heard some of them say that they wouldn't cut you off for non-payment for the time being. But they're going to that's going to be a difficult challenge because, for example, you just said you got 61 at home, and you could have a perfect connection, but your kids might be busy. Uh, they might be streaming something, or might be you have a very high tech household. Uh, Other people might be doing things, so uh, it like I said, the newer routers are smarter at parceling out bandwidth where it's needed, and 61 is plenty good for this connection. I'm not saying that you're short, but if you
Okay.
really want to get technical, download an app, download a Wi-Fi analyzer app. There's a number of them. I turned off my phone on purpose to cut down on the bandwidth while we're talking. And but if you look on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and look for a good Wi-Fi analyzer, maybe I'll turn on my phone just long enough to get the brand name of this one. It will tell you you will get a look at all of the routers in your neighborhood. Not that you can log into them, but it'll tell you how much noise is around you. And basically, you might have to end up working in the room with the least noise to get the best bandwidth. So there's another app tip anyway. But of course, there's other issues with tech, including cleanliness. I've heard awful stories about keyboards and the dirt that they keep. And there are products designed for cleaning keyboards, but if you really want to be clean, companies like Logitech and a few others, Logitech, Logitech, make washable keyboards. They're not expensive either. You can run them underwater.
Keyboards?
You can run them underwater in the sink. They plug into any USB port. You can.
Wow.
The only thing you can't get wet is the USB plug itself. The rest of the keyboard you can put in the sink with a brush and keep it clean. If you really want to, if you're really that worried about the keyboards.
Thanks, Bob. Neil had a question. Is it true that you lose 50% when you access via Wi-Fi rather than via Ethernet, I guess?
Ethernet is so much better because you're protected against that wireless noise that I was talking about. Ethernet, you lose a lot less with a wired connection. So that's actually a good tip if you're having an issue with Wi-Fi at home. I actually have a long Ethernet wire running all the way from the living room all the way to the back, just in case I need it. I can plug in to and wire into my router, just in case I need that top level, no noise connection. So that's actually a good suggestion.
Great, thank you. Let's get more questions in, folks. There's some that have been coming in, and one of the questions that I saw was, how do you think that people can, like students who aren't used to working remotely, right? We always think like the next generation super connected and very good in terms of remote. They're not, in terms of this kind of work, they're not used to doing. So do you think the schools are able to adapt? Do you think students will be able to adapt? We're very comfortable on Google Docs, of course.
Yeah, students tend to be very good on mobile, on Google Docs, but they're not good at being stationary. That's going to be a problem. They're not good at staying in one place and being expected not to work elsewhere. Or, in the summer, they'd rather be using Wi-Fi in a park. I'm more worried about the bandwidth that some of the smaller universities. Columbia obviously has all the bandwidth it needs. So does NYU and Fordham. Some of the smaller colleges and community colleges who are forced to work remotely might not have the in-house bandwidth to deal with all of their students being online during the day. So I'm expecting it to work, but I'm not. But I'm also expecting problems. One good thing, one suggestion for students is turn off your when you're going to be home. Turn off your phone's data plan and work off of Wi-Fi. There's no reason to blow out your data plan at home, since the Wi-Fi at home is free, practically speaking. You've already paid for that. And the connection for data, for websites, for streaming will be so much better on Wi-Fi than through any, I don't care what data plan you have. Home Wi-Fi is going to be better.
All right, another good tip, folks, that use your home, turn off your data plan unless you're expecting phone calls, but most people are now using WhatsApp or other things anyway. So thanks, Bob. Folks, if you have questions, let us know. I
have a quick suggestion when it comes to printers.
Please.
A lot of us, and I really don't have much cords to print much anymore. I used to print out a lot of documents, but if you're in a kind of business where you have to do a lot of printing, a lot of people have gotten by without printers. If you're going to buy a printer, I'll suggest one of the newer ones with the Supertank, they call them.
Supertank, okay.
I think Epson calls it the Echo Tank line, ECOTANK from Epson, EPSON. And I actually have one of those. And the printers ship with enough ink in the bottles that come with it for 2 years of regular use. So instead of that little starter cartridge that's out in a week, you're done. You're set for the next year and a half. I haven't come close to making a dent in what's in that printer right now. It's just one thing you won't have to worry about, because you're not going to be in a position to be running out for cartridges. That's the last thing you want to waste time with.
Bob, another great suggestion. Thank you. I'd not even heard of Supertank printers. As you remember, Bob, I used to cover a lot of personal technology hardware stuff, but I don't anymore. And I hate printers, and I hate how much the ink costs and how fast it runs out, and that it's comparable to Chanel No. 5 and all of that. So this is a great tip that we can all look for if we're buying a printer, is to buy a Supertank printer. It seems to be roughly in the same price range as the old one. So I guess
the printers the printers that are on sale for low prices, you're basically paying for your ink up front, but you're actually paying less because you're not buying the plastic every few months. But just by way of background, for those who don't know me, I'm the former senior writer at PC Magazine, former newspaper reporter in Milwaukee, and former copy editor and tech writer for the New York Daily News. So I've seen Sree at multiple tech events over the year. So sorry about that.
Yeah, including a time we were both interviewing Bill Gates, one after the other.
Yes.
Let's go with more questions. By the way, Bill Gates stepped off the Microsoft board. I could never imagine him not on the CEO seat, and now he's not even on the board anymore. And he did it in the middle of all this stuff that's going on. Mark is asking, where in Milwaukee were you? I graduated from Marquette in '84.
Oh, I see that. I was working for the old Milwaukee Sentinel in the '80s, and I guess you were there when I was still a reporter.
Right.
Of course, the papers have merged since then. It's now the Journal Sentinel. And just for the record, I lived on Laverne and Shirley Street, otherwise known as Knapp Street on the east side.
Haha, nice. Laverne and Shirley, great show. I hope one of the things that happens in this time of crisis is that people find some of those old gems, the kind of Nick at Night shows and things like that, and feel a little calmer. Mark says many of the universities have not done distance learning, so they're trying to get through that. And Jonathan says NYU has gone with Zoom, which has disconcerted the teachers more than the students. And
Okay.
Mark says not just small colleges, but also the university students who are from small towns and rural areas. I know Google Fiber has been trying to get more and more students hooked. So, and Mark says he loved that show also, Laverne and Shirley.
Hey,
Happy Days. Yeah. Stefan, go ahead.
So, hi, Bob. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. You're one of the few people in town dumb enough like me to use a Samsung DSLR, but go ahead.
Well, anyway, I wanted to just say that, Zoom is, earlier today, I did an hour-long test and working out some kinks of Zoom with our friend Kevin McKenna from the New York Times. And, we really learned a lot today together. I urge everybody to get on to Zoom and other platforms, which we'll talk about during Social Media Weekend, during the session. But to learn this technology ASAP and dig into it, because it's really not hard once you get into it. You just learn it very quickly. Zoom is very user-friendly, and we learned a lot today just by jumping online together, spending 1 hour together on a Sunday afternoon, catching up and learning together.
Great advice. By the way,
that's a good point.
news. Sorry, 1 second. Can I just interrupt with breaking news? New York City to close all public schools amid coronavirus outbreak. Already,
Wow.
the private schools were closed either for coronavirus or for spring break already. And so this is the next step. Public schools were mostly not closing, in part because hundreds of thousands of students would be kind of on the streets or unsupervised at home because their parents are working. And even more important, tens of thousands of students rely on the meal services, breakfast and lunch provided at public schools as their only good, healthy meals they can get all day. And so that's why the mayor was hesitant, but sounds like they have now gone all the way to closing the schools.
Wow,
Wow.
impressive.
Incredible.
That's gonna. It's definitely going to. This is a big understatement. That's going to affect the bandwidth available
Yeah.
at home for around the city. The thing is, when they designed the internet, and Tree knows this, the big pipes were connected to corporations, universities, telephone companies, and things like that, and the smaller pipes distributed the tech to neighborhoods. So that's the problem. The bottleneck is in the residential neighborhoods. Now that we have fiber, it's not as bad. That can handle a lot better. But yeah, that's where the bottleneck's going to be, with a lot of people at home trying to access their broadband. It's going to make that's going to make a difference.
Yeah. Sorry, and you were responding to what Stefan was saying?
Oh yeah, I was just. He's right. It's good to get your practice in now with the apps like Zoom, like this. I had to get on. I had this account for years, and I hadn't been using it much. This Uber conference, and if you're going to meet for a business meeting, teleconference, I still like Skype, the old warhorse in this battle, because it has one feature I really like. The blur button, BLUR, the blur button. If I had it on while my face was showing, the background would have been blurred out, but I'd be razor sharp. And if you live in a messy household, and what journalist doesn't, at least you don't have to put up a shower curtain, which I almost did today, behind you, and to make it look professional. So no, you're right. Get your practice in now with whatever teleconferencing app you want to
Well,
decide to deal with.
Bob and Sree, this is the thing that I thought of, really. With everything that's going on right now, I really sat down and I was really thinking about this morning. Everything is in such upheaval right now. Everybody's scared. It's a time of uncertainty. There's many things being done, from hoarding of goods to this and that. It's some of it, really horrible, like that guy hoarding all the Purell and selling it online and stuff like that. But for people who want to learn right now, everybody's in the same situation right now. You have educators, schools, institutions, organizations, big business. Everybody has to just realize that we're all in the same boat right now, and there's massive shifts going on and massive changes. So it's not a time to worry about what you don't know. This is a time to actually really want to learn, because everybody's in the same boat, and nobody's going to look at you as if you don't know something that you should.
You're right there, and you and I and Sree and a lot of the people here have spent time talking to each other for tips, and talking to each other for, well, what are you going to do with, fill the blank. And so I actually asked a few people, and they seem to agree on a handful of things. I'm going to turn on the video. Well, I'm going to turn on the video briefly, just to show you one item. This is that looks like I'm frozen in. It might be running. This is a simple hub. This was a giveaway at a tech event. If you're going to bring your laptop home, you're going to end up connecting to multiple things, but your laptop might have one USB port.
Nice.
So an inexpensive hub like this, you might, this is a $5, $10 item, but that's a big thing if you're connecting specialty printers or other devices to your computer. If you're going to be out, travel with your own power. you don't want to plug in at Starbucks. You don't want to plug in at the library. Keep it charged, and if you do have to be out and about, keep your power with you. I have a larger one which I'll reach for in a second, which actually I won't for the sake of time. I have a larger one that actually has an AC plug in it. So if you really need that type of backup when you're out there, that would be a good idea. And finally, just to get everything in one quick video before I turn off the video, just make sure you have a good headset. I'm wearing some old ones now simply because visually it doesn't look bad enough without, it doesn't make me look too geeky. But if you have a good set of noise canceling headsets, if you're going to talk a lot on the phone, even video conference, and this is one by Zvox. I'll explain it in a second. A good noise canceling headset is an asset if you're going to do a lot of this, or even just on the phone, because if you have kids or other people in the house or dogs or cats, you don't want to hear them when you're trying to work.
Great, Bob. We've got lots of questions, so we're going to do quick questions and quick answers. Maria asks,
Yes.
Can you recommend good microphones?
Blue Microphones makes, I'm trying to think. They make this. They just came out with a small wireless microphone, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, there are some really inexpensive microphones that they're either wireless, or if I can think of the brand while I'm here, they're either wireless or they plug into the audio port in your phone if you still have one. And I had to go on the radio for an interview years ago, and I plugged this microphone in, and it made a heck of a difference. So anyway, a quick answer. If I can think of that microphone, then I'll mention it.
Okay, I want Mark to come in. He has a comment and a question from Durham, North Carolina. Go ahead, Mark. Mark, you're unmuted, so you should be able to speak. Okay, he'll come back, I'm sure. He says that friends of his are online educators. They're surprised they're not getting calls to help. Some of it may be ageism, since some of the experts are in the over 50 category. So Bob, talk about that a little bit. Some of us old school tech guys and gals, how do we make ourselves more relevant? How have you stayed so relevant? Look at you on Pinterest with 1 million followers and things like that, which it'd be fair to say many in our age group are not exactly like that. So talk about how you stayed so fresh.
I appreciate that. But I mean, we grew up in a time when you had to learn, if something went wrong with your computer, you basically had to learn from your friends how to deal with it. Today's laptops, phones are so, generally speaking, trouble-free. People haven't needed to call support like they used to in volume back in the tech day. I've been credited with inventing the word cyber dinosaur. That's what I consider myself. And it's basically, I guess it's on us to reach out there to see who needs the help. It's youth aren't going to look for us old guys anyway. And to provide the help where needed. I mean, I have some keyboards here which I can donate if some senior center was trying to wake up its old computers, things like that. I probably have some old phones back there that somebody can use as a Wi-Fi home, somebody who doesn't have real connectivity at home. That's where we can make ourselves useful. Some of this old tech still works. Like, for example, every digital cell phone ever made can call 911, whether you paid your bill, whether it has a SIM card. If you can power it up, it can call 911. That's been the rule since digital phones.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Every digital phone ever made can at least do that. That you won't be able to make a call unless you install, say, Google Voice or some other Wi-Fi calling app.
Got it. We have a comment coming in from Maria Drago, who is formerly with the UNDP, and our friend. Go ahead, Maria.
Hey, Sree, thanks. Yeah, on the topic you were just raising about learning and people who've been involved in online learning and so forth, there's a terrific chat that goes online on Twitter every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Learn Chat, and the hashtag for it is LRNCHAT. And there's also a Twitter account with that. And each week there's a couple of 3 or 4 people who moderate it, and they facilitate, a conversation around a specific topic. And I would be hard pressed I'd be surprised if they didn't do something COVID virus related this coming week. And you can always, I mean, if you don't participate in the Q&A and so forth, obviously you can always follow it afterwards. So definitely something worth checking out.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you, Maria. Patricia says, this is terrific, Bob. Thanks. And what language do we use for Googling that green round pop plug thingy?
I'm sorry, what language do we use for?
For searching for that green round plug thingy.
Oh, that's funny. This was actually a press gift, and I'm looking on it for the people who make it. Maybe I'll post it. Just look for a USB hub, and it might not look as cute as this one, but it'll be useful for anybody who has a computer with just one USB outlet. I'll if I can think of a brand. I know there's a company that makes a good one, but if I think of it, I'll mention it.
Good. And Neil's echoing my mantra of always be charging and have multiple chargers ready to go. And he says he and Stefan love Anchor, Anker. I am agnostic. I like my mini show ones because I have 10 or so at all times that I have in my house. But he asked a good question. What was that platform where you can blur the background so that if your house is messy, you'll be okay on a video chat?
Oh, that was Skype. That was the old reliable Skype. SKYPE.
Wait, does it still do that, Robert?
Yes. If you go into the settings, it'll do that on the desktop. Not sure if it'll do it on the phone. I definitely found it on the desktop.
It's almost you're saying it's a little bit like the portrait mode on the newer phones, where you're in focus and everything else is out of focus. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's down there in the video settings if you go into a desktop spike. And what you were saying about Anchor, Anker, power packs, and other accessories, I agree. They make good ones, and so does a company called MyCharge. One word, MyCharge. They make multiple devices for charging your phone, and other one that you can see also has I found it, also has an AC plug on one end, in addition to a bunch of
Nice.
well, I won't uncover them. Those are USB ports, and that's a USB-C in the middle. So anyway, It's a very good unit. I'll turn off my video.
Put in a link to an Anchor. He needs to put in the link because the HTTP merged in with the other one by accident. We're going back to Mark Lee in Durham. Mark, you're on the air.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Just jump in whenever you can. You're unmuted on our side, so I'm not sure what's going on. All right, folks, we have only a few minutes left. Want to just get more questions in and comments. Mark, what is your sense of if somebody wanted to go to a store or order a new laptop? Where are we with laptops? Or my kids are home now and they didn't bring their school laptop, etc. So what's a good sub $1,000 laptop that they can buy now? Do you recommend any of the Chromebooks, or do you recommend Mac or Windows? Can you just talk through those three for us?
Sure. Chromebooks, basically everything you do on them is online. The storage is online, and it uses Google's own operating system, not Windows. That has the advantage of not bogging down the laptop with storage, and they're actually pretty fast, and they are pretty cheap from multiple manufacturers. Just look up Chromebook with one word, Chromebook, and you'll find an assortment of them. Macs, of course, if you grew up on a Mac, if you're using a Mac, reliable as heck, not inexpensive, very reliable. And I like my Microsoft Surface on the Windows side. Dell makes excellent laptop still. Uh, uh, Acer, I like what they offer. They start at the bottom with very inexpensive units to really powerful game quality laptops. So go into this might sound surprising. Go into the Microsoft store if they're still open on Fifth Avenue and 53rd Street, only because there's a big selection there, or a Best Buy, etc.
Right. Bob, you remember the days we used to have so many places you could buy computers, and now so few places you can buy computers, even though there's more computer sales than ever before. Computer
Exactly.
electronics, I mean, not obviously not laptops, but just things we call computers. Folks, we have time for a couple more questions. Stefan says, have to run and make dinner. Best wishes to all. Be smart, be safe, and be well. Stick to social distancing. And Daryl reports that Mayor de Blasio is speaking right now and asking restaurants to run at 50% capacity or there will be fines. My goodness.
Oh.
And let's see, who else is here? And Bob has posted his links at New York Bob, all spelled out, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. Please do follow up and connect with him. And I wrote a piece about his 1 million followers on Pinterest, but the joke was that Bob is the only guy on Pinterest. But Pinterest is still stuck around, still relevant, still interesting. And just yesterday, Maria was telling us how useful Pinterest can be for as a learning platform.
I agree. You can see what other people are doing, what other people are liking, and people use it for different things. I use it for tech, which is very rare. But yeah, you can find your niche on Pinterest.
Yep. Our friend Kamal Masuta is telling us that they did it after all. Lots of pressure. The New York City public schools will be closed for instruction as we transition to remote learning and regional enrichment centers. Goodness, I have no idea what that is, but we'll see how it goes.
Guess what we need? Another acronym, but go ahead.
And Mark says, I went to one restaurant and there was only the manager. So that's tells you what kind of days we're in right now. So let's get in some more questions or comments. Anybody wants to say hi, you can open up your mic and say hello. I'm just going to ask Paula because she's such a great remote worker, Paula, out there in Tallahassee. Tell us your setup and if you have any questions or comments on anything Bob has said.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay. I think one of the biggest things is structure. Because I put my headphone on, so maybe the audio is better. If you've not done remote work before, it can really be daunting because there are so many distractions. And I know another piece of it now is that a lot of people have their children home with them because they don't have school. So that's another thing to juggle. But I think some basic communication principles are so important because you don't see people's faces, or well, you might over the screen, but it's just such a kind of different environment. So taking care to check back if you feel that something got misconstrued, or if you believe someone is working on X, Y, or Z and you aren't getting a status report, it's advisable to communicate more often than less often. Just make sure everybody's on the same page.
I appreciate that comment. It's all the tech in the world isn't as good as the human connection and just keeping in touch with people. When I started working out of here ages ago, I had a cat, and she was friendly enough. She didn't get in the way. She would come by and check out what I was doing. But it was harder for me not to get up and go play with the cat in the beginning. It takes little discipline once you're home not to turn on the TV, or if you're going to listen to music, listen to something that doesn't knock you out of what you're doing. I like smooth jazz anyway. I'll leave that. I can work through that. But if that's not your genre, but you're right. It's better. You got to keep in touch with the humans.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great advice. And by the way, everything from Spotify to Pandora, they all offer smooth jazz or deep focus playlists. So you could generally just jump onto one of those if you want to make sure that you're getting something where you're able to concentrate. So I think that's something you can try for sure.
I'll just mention one other thing. I've been cheating while I've been on video. I've been let's see here if I didn't knock myself out. A video light. This happens to be a combination power bank and video light. So if you if you do have to video conference, you might want a LUME cube or another one of these portable lights, so your professional buddies on the other side can see you. I'm also getting lighting from this lamp over here, which I won't bring on screen because it looks, well, actually I will. It's a doggy lamp that I built in junior high school. So the tail used to turn on the light, but the screen got broken. So you need better lighting if you're going to be video conferencing.
I totally agree, and I just bought some test units on some units to test out on Amazon. So I'll be back with I'll share some of that. But the lighting does matter, and you look good, Bob. So that's great.
That's very hard to do.
We're almost done here, folks. Any questions? Any comments? Here's your chance to speak up. I really appreciate you all joining me for these sessions. I then take this and put it on YouTube as just to have the record of this, and some people will catch them there. And I'm doing this, folks, mainly for myself. I want to talk to people, and I miss, especially someone like me who teaches in school and is with students, every other day. It really matters to be able to connect. I love my family, of course, but four of us, including two almost 17-year-old teenagers in one apartment, we'd like to be in touch with others as well. So I'm just very grateful to everyone for participating. A couple of reminders. I am, number one, doing a call tomorrow about Social Media Weekend at noon on the same platform. So if you want to hear about our great plans, otherwise you can go to Social Media Weekend. The URL is right on the chat room. We've just posted it. I'll post it again. Or you just go to socialmediaweekend.com, smwknd.com. So you can see we're offering a $99 online ticket for a whole day of programming. And then for $169, we have extended programming for 3 months of great content, including virtual office hours, plus a great in-person event down the road at Muckrack. And we also hope to go back to Pace for Social Media Weekend 2021 down the road, presuming we all get there. So please do check out Social Media Weekend and ask your friends to join us. It's going to be next Saturday, an epic day of learning, all of it recorded so you can catch up afterward. But we hope you'll tell your friends. And then finally, tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, I'm going to be doing an interview with one of the world's top experts on everything to do with coronavirus. He is Gerald Leung, who is the dean of the medical school at Hong Kong University, and it's going to be an amazing conversation because he is so learned and experienced. And so he and I are going to be online on Monday night at 8:30, and I hope all of you. Yeah, oops, we're getting feedback. Yeah, I see that. 1 second. So I hope all of you will be able to join us for that. I've posted the link in the chat room, and you have to see the professor in a chilling episode of 60 Minutes Australia to understand what can happen and is happening in some parts of the world. Some of it can happen here as well. Neil, you wanted to say something? or somebody else? Was it Bob? Oh, sorry. Somebody has just joined us from Westfield, New Jersey. Do you want to say hello? Okay. So thank you, everybody. I'm at Sree on Twitter, Sree at Sree.net, on email, SreeNet on Instagram. Please find me. Please send us your feedback. If you'd like to be a featured guest in the days ahead, God knows might be here for several weeks. I'm going to do this every week, not at the same time, but every day I'm going to do this. And we're also going to do the Sunday New York Times read along. Is going to be great. And next Sunday, Neil and company have organized Stephen Greenhouse, the great Stephen Greenhouse, who's the preeminent labor reporter of our time, is going to be doing the Sunday New York Times read along 8:30 Sunday. Nick Kristof and Cheryl Wu Dunn, one of the great writers, looking at the world around us, are going to be on Social Media Weekend as our guests. So check all of that out. And thanks so much. Patricia says, Bob is the best. Thanks so much. And Neil says, thank you as well. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to turn off the recording. And if anybody wants to have an open mic, we can do that as well.